Hey guys, thanks for watching Razzle. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Usually in these videos I'm reviewing film or trailers, that kind of thing, things in the movie universe, but today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be reviewing Arkham Knight by Warner Brothers Games and Rocksteady, so here we go. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the narrative. Arkham Knight, the story is really good. I'm really happy with it. Unfortunately for me, it wasn't nearly as good or as iconic as the story of Arkham City or even Arkham Origins. I think in a lot of ways the Arkham Origins story is a little tighter, a little better put together. I know that's kind of weird and it's kind of sacrilege to go against Rocksteady on that, but to me, honestly, I think that's where it kind of missed a lot. It was on the narrative. It was just a little uneven. And unfortunately for me, Scarecrow as a villain, I don't think was as dynamic as I had hoped he would be. He's not really all that developed. He's just kind of, the villain, he's kind of badass in a lot of ways. But unfortunately, I think I don't know, he wasn't, I mean, maybe it's just because he's trying to fit the place of the Joker and Mark Hamill. But for me, he just wasn't nearly as great a villain as the Joker. And I guess that's really comes as no surprise. The Scarecrow wasn't the only villain that really disappointed me. The Arkham Knight, I was not much a fan of at all. Mostly because to me it was just super predictable. If you're a fan, it feels like the character was kind of created more for general audience who don't really know much about the Batman lore. But for me, I'm a huge Batman fan. I read read so many comics. I watched all the movies. I own like so much Batman memorabilia and everything. So I know a lot about the Batman lore. So the reveal of who the Arkham Knight was, it wasn't surprising, and it was kind of anticlimactic because it was kind of what I was expecting. I don't want to spoil, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But yeah, it was disappointing to me, and I don't think his character was really all that well done either. Now, I don't want to harp on the story all that much at all. It's actually really good. There was a lot of great scenes in there. There's one in particular that had me like put my hands on my head and just like had to contemplate it for a second because it was really deep. And it was really dark, and it was just really great. That scene was. There's a couple other scenes like that too that are really good. And so I'm going to segue from that. I'm going to start talking about the voice acting. The voice acting in this was spectacular. It was phenomenal. Some of the best voice acting I've seen in a video game since The Last of Us. It was incredible voice acting. Not a single person that I see in the whole game that I think, oh, that just doesn't sound real or sounds bad. Everyone sounded like they were so into it, and it was a huge ensemble, but the whole cast did a fantastic job with their lines and everything, and that really made me believe, so thumbs up for that. The voice acting was spectacular. There's one huge part of the story that I don't want to talk about at all because it'll spoil the whole story, but I loved it. It was something that at first I kind of thought I would hate it if I had heard about this, but being in the game, but this element of the game was freaking fantastic. It was so well done to a technical aspect of how they integrated it into the story and into just as things are going on, as if you're just being Batman without doing the story, as well as just all together, it just worked. It was so great, and it put that missing piece I thought that was missing in the game into the game. So without it, I think the game would have been worse, and the story would have been worse, but because of it, it was fantastic, and I don't want to talk about it because, spoilers. Alright, now, so I'm going to start talking about mechanics, about the game. Bear with me, I'm a film guy, so I know more about narrative and that kind of thing. I can talk more about that. But, I think I know enough about video games I can talk about this, so let's go. Batman feels great. It feels great to play as Batman, just like in the other games. It even feels more fluid than the last couple. It just, and the cinematic, the thing is, it looks amazing. It's one of the best looking games I've ever played. It's just really fantastic looking, and one of the favorite things for me is the cinematics and the actual gameplay integrated into it went together. It wasn't like there would like be loading screens to get a cutscene, a cinematic cutscene. No, the whole thing was integrated really well into itself. It didn't really depend on loading screens except for when you died. But which would have an insanely long loading screen, which I hated. But the game was great because it just lacked loading screens and everything flowed really nice together. So it just felt like it was the pace. It felt like the pacing was improved because of that, and it just felt the whole game felt smoother because of it, and it helped me become more submerged into the game because I wasn't loading for cinematics and everything. It was just as I was doing things, the cinematics continued as I was walking, you know, and it integrated that in a way that was really awesome, that really made me feel more submerged into the gameplay. So I loved that. That was one of the best parts of the game for me. One of the things I've loved most about the Arkham games, just in general, is just how fluid it feels. The way Batman, the way he walks, it just feels like you have choices to go. Also, just going into different missions and stuff, you have choices of different ways of going about completing the mission, whether you want to do stealthily or you just want to go in guns blazing. You had options, and the gadgets create more options to do different things different ways. That's something I really love about the Batman games, and it continues that in this game. Unfortunately for me, this is my biggest negative about the entire game: the Batmobile. I did not like the Batmobile. I liked it for about 15 minutes, and then after that, for me, it just lost a lot of its touch. And the game tried to integrate the Batmobile into the game so much that I felt like I was using the Batmobile 50% of the time. And the reason I started off with that last thing is because you lose options. It becomes a game. It becomes, you know, you're just kind of dodging bullets, but it becomes really one-dimensional about the way you can play it when you're playing in the tank or you're playing in the Batmobile. The missions are just so one-dimensional, and that really hurts the gameplay for me. And I was finding myself getting very frustrated and very angered whenever I had to do Batmobile missions, because it proved maybe not more difficult, but more tedious. And that was something I really didn't like, and that was something that really pulled away from the game for me. So that was a huge negative for me. I was not a huge fan of the Batmobile at all. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up. I feel like I don't really want to talk about this too much because I'm afraid of going into spoiler territory and things like that. I might do a spoiler discussion, maybe. I don't know if I will, but I might do it. So I'm gonna finish this up. Batman Arkham Knight, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. I love the game. While I didn't like the Batmobile, and that felt like a big part of the game, I still enjoyed all the other stuff so much. To me, it wasn't as good as Arkham City. I think Arkham City still proves to be the best in the series. But I thought it was still better than Arkham Asylum, and in some ways it was better than Arkham Origins, in other ways it wasn't. Like, the technical aspect was definitely better than Arkham Origins, but Arkham Origins I thought had a stronger story. You know, it's tough. It's in that middle somewhere. It's not as good as Arkham City, but just like how The Dark Knight Rises wasn't as good as The Dark Knight. But that's okay. It was still a great game, and I still had a lot of fun with it, and I'd still really recommend you buying it, especially if you're a fan of the Arkham games, or a fan of Batman. Just get it. It's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it. Alright guys, this was Ryan Havens from Razzle. I was reviewing Batman Arkham Knight. I was doing a video game review. Tell me what you guys think about it. See if I did well, or if you don't think I should do video game reviews, or if you want me to do more video game reviews. It's tougher to access more video games, but I might do a couple, you know, especially some of the bigger ones that I'm excited about. So I might do that in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and yeah, have a good one.